Morning everyone. Okay, another cold morning. 2 degrees actually. It's 2 degrees here in Sydney, in Campbelltown where I am, southwest Sydney. So today's video is going to be, I believe, the most important video that I have ever or will ever do. Many of you will be saying, no, that's not important, that's irrelevant, but I think moving forward into the new earth, this topic that I'm going to cover today is absolutely vital. And if you don't get it, then you need to, okay? If you don't understand it, then you absolutely need to. Animal communication, okay? Now, many people say you can't communicate with animals. You can, and it's very easy. You just have to tune into their frequency. And the higher the vibrational frequency you are, the easier it is to communicate with animals. You can hear them. You can have a two-way conversation with them. A little bit of background for me with animals. When I was 4 years old, I was playing in the lounge room, and my mum had the 1984 Olympic Games. I think it was the Olympics. It was some major horse event anyway. And the show jumping was playing on TV. And the moment I saw a horse, that captured my imagination, and that was my dream forever. I just wanted to be with horses. I wanted to ride horses. I wanted to compete at the Olympics and World Championships. I wanted to do it all. I wanted to be one of the world's best female riders and trainers and competitors, and you name it, I wanted it, and I wouldn't stop until I achieved it. I almost got there, almost, until funds kind of run out and it got too expensive and I could no longer afford to do it. So, and then the property we were living on was up for sale, and there were no other properties around, so we couldn't take our horses with us. We were going to be kicked out. So I had to sell all my horses and all my horse equipment and live in the suburbs. However, I still kept several of my old horses. And it's these horses that I'm training with my telepathic communication. So, as most of you know, I'm a psychic medium. I'm a telepath, okay? This is a very controversial subject for many, which is fine because you're going to find out that it's actually real. And the CIA uses telepaths. The Secret Space Program uses telepaths and mediums and all kinds of different things. If you're following me, you're pretty open to all of this anyway. But if you're not, then you're in for a rude awakening because it's real and you're about to find out. So, as I've raised my frequency and gone more into the world of consciousness, not just spirituality, it starts out spiritual and then it turns into consciousness. If you continue developing yourself, you kind of step out of, you start with one of two boxes, either a religious box or an atheist box, or just a I don't know box, if you want to call it that. And then you step into the spiritual box, which opens your mind beyond, the previous boxes. And then as you develop your further, you realize that spirituality is just another box. And then you move into consciousness and universal consciousness and source and all that is. And that's when you really start learning. And this is where I am at the moment. I'm outside the spiritual box. I'm outside of the atheist box. I'm now into universal consciousness and complete and total oneness. Now, when you start working with people, okay, as a medium, you start exploring telepathy, okay, because you're tuning into them, so you're picking up their thoughts, their feelings, so you're becoming more telepathic. And everyone has telepathic and mediumship abilities. It's just tuning into that frequency to activate them when you want them, not just whenever you pick something up. So the more you practice, like going to the gym, okay, if you want big, strong muscles, you go to the gym and you work them out, you work them. Telepathy and mediumship is the same. The more you do it, the stronger the abilities become. Very, very simple. So when you're working with people all the time, you're getting stronger and stronger and stronger, so you're naturally developing. And you don't have to do anything else. You can, but you don't have to. And that eventually turns into animals, okay? When you start working with people, you actually start increasing your frequency, which allows you to work with animals on a deeper level, a stronger connection, an energetic connection, which is where I am now. Now, the last 6 months, as I'm grooming my horses, okay, it started out, my first real animal communication was about 6 months ago. And I was grooming one of my relatives' horses, which I consider my own because he spends all the time with my 2 horses and they are family. You know, he's my family, so I consider him mine. Even though I don't technically own him, I consider him my horse, okay? So I was grooming him and I had him tied to the fence, and I just heard in my head, I hate her. I feel like I don't exist. I'm only here when she wants me to be here. I have no purpose in life. Why am I still breathing? What am I doing here? I hate myself. And I'm looking around going, holy crap, where is that coming from? And as I said this, the horse who had just been standing there with his head down and his ears flopped to the side, he just turned slightly and he looked at me. And just one ear flicked towards me and that one eye. And that moment that he looked at me, our souls connected. And I knew it was him that was talking, that was having these feelings. I just burst into tears. And it's like, oh my God. This horse is actually having these thoughts that he is worthless because his owner doesn't spend time with him. And I was gutted. Absolutely, my heart was just torn apart. Now you must understand, for me personally, I've had horses since my first horse I got when I was 9 years old. Started riding and working with horses when I was 4. Horses have just been my life. Animals are my life. Okay, completely, 100%. Anything I can do for an animal, I'm there. I'll do it. So for me to hear a horse that I was grooming at that time, having these feelings of not being worthy or feeling like he doesn't exist, was just, yeah, it was a real gut punch, basically, and a real wake-up call at the same time. And since then, I've been communicating with him and my other 2 horses, and they've been telling me a lot of things about how horses' minds work and how, you know, their feelings when they're at sales, their feelings when they're at competitions, because one of my horses, a 28-year-old, took me to very high-level international 3-day eventing, very high competition, and always competing. You know, you look after them as best as you can. You don't know what they're feeling. You don't know, you know, what their likes and dislikes are. You only assume by their behavior. But now I've started communicating with them and listening to their likes and dislikes and actually learning more about them. It's completely changed my perception about caring for animals. I was grooming them yesterday. Beautiful day yesterday. Oh my God. I was there for about 2 hours. Absolutely loved it. My horses are on agistment because I live in a motel, so I can't have them with me. But they're on agistment in a 100-acre paddock. And I had them tied to the gate. And I was grooming them. And I was just talking to them and asking them questions. Now, my oldest horse is 28 years old, so he's a lot slower. You know, he's getting towards, you know, hopefully not the end of his life. Hopefully the healing chambers will remedy that part. But I was asking him questions like, how do you feel? And his name is Tipper, okay, because when he was born, he was on a hill, and when he tried to get up, he fell over and tipped down the hill. So they called him Tipper. Okay. I said, how do you feel? And he said, I'm fine. He said, my body's tired, but I'm okay. And I said, okay, is there anything, I can do for you? And he said, he was hesitant. Okay. He was very, very hesitant. And I said, what's up? And he said, I would really like a stable at night because it's warm and it's safe. And I just said, why? And he said, because I'm not as fast as I used to. I'm not comfortable at night. And I'm like, okay. And he was hesitant to tell me because he knows that that's not possible at the moment. And he knows that there's nothing I can do about that at the moment. But he was brave enough and comfortable enough to tell me of his fears. Okay. So I said, you know what? I said, as soon as these funds come, you'll be in a stable at night, no problem. You'll be young, fit and healthy, in a stable at night, no problem. I said, is there anything else I can do for you? Like now? And he said, yes, I want to see you more often. And I said, okay, no problem. Any reason why? And he said, no, just so I can spend time with you and be with you. Now, this is something that we never take into account. Okay, we put our horses out in the paddock and think that, they're elderly, their life is in the paddock and they just enjoy the paddock. They want to be with you. They want to spend time with you, even if it's just a grooming or just saying hello. We need to spend more time with each individual animal, not just see them as, yes, they're in the paddock, they're healthy, they have no scratches, no bruises, no missing limbs or broken limbs, they're absolutely fine. They want to spend time with us. Okay, so perfect. I moved on to the next horse, and she is 23, nearly 24 years old, and she never liked to be ridden. Okay, now I'm getting to the point, okay. And I said to her, I said, Angel, I said, how are you? She said, yeah, I'm great. Perfect. And I said, is there anything I can do for you? She said, nope. I just want to spend time with you and the other horses. I said, okay. And my horses know about what's coming with the projects and the healing chambers and all of that. I've told them, what's happening. And I said, now, if you choose, would you like to be age regressed, if that is an option? She said, yeah, why not? She said, Tipper's told me all about it and I'm excited for it. I said, okay. And I said, do you want to go back riding? And she never liked to be ridden. And she said, you know what? I don't really like riding. She said, I just want to be able to run around and play with the other horses. Perfect. Perfect. There's her future all set. I said, do you want to have a foal when you're younger? She said, no, I just want to run and play with the other horses. So, beautiful. She's done. Okay. Now she has a tumor on her bottom jaw. And I said to her, how's your jaw going? Is it painful? Is it hard to eat? How's it going? And it's a bone tumor, so to actually treat it would mean removing the tumor and removing half her lower jaw, which is not an option. So it's not cancerous, it's just a benign tumor. And she said, it doesn't hurt. It doesn't stop me from eating. I don't feel it. It's absolutely fine. Do not worry about it. It's like, okay, no problem. You let me know if it's hurting. She said, absolutely I will. But for now, it's not. It's not giving me any problem at all. I said, okay. I moved on to the third horse, which is my relative's horse. And he's a very, very big horse. Big thoroughbred. He's 20 years old. I said to him, Maverick, how are you going? And he said, I'm bored. I said, okay. And he's got this itch. Okay, it's called Queensland itch. And it settles during the winter months and it flares up during the hot, steamy, humid months. I said, how's your itch? And he said, yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. And he said, you know what? I'm only itching now because I'm bored. He said, I want to get out of here. I don't like this place anymore. I said, what don't you like about it? And he said, it's time to move on. I've been here for years. I don't want to be here anymore. I said, okay, no problem. And then I said, is there anything I can do for you? And he said, just get me out of here. And I said, how are you feeling about your mum, your owner? And he said, she's not my owner anymore. She doesn't care about me, so she's not my owner. I don't claim her as my owner anymore. I said, okay. And he said, what you've got coming and what is coming for the rest of us, he said, that's what I want. That's what I want. And he was a racehorse. And when my relative got him, she did nothing with him. Absolutely nothing. So he's been literally in the paddock alone, just with a few other horses, since he was like 6 or 7 years old, something like that. And I said to him, I said, you know about the healing chambers and all of that. I said, after you've gone through the chambers, if that's what you want. He said, yes. Yes, that's what I want. I said, what would you like to do? And he said, you know, I want to go and ride and compete. I want another chance to do what other horses have been able to do that I haven't had the opportunity. And I said, oh, you want to jump? And he said, I want to jump and gallop over the logs that don't move. And I said, oh, you mean cross country? Yes, that's what I want to do. He said, I love running, I love playing, and I'd love to try jumping. I said, okay, perfect, beautiful. And then I said, when I finished grooming him, I said, no, don't go anywhere because I've got carrots and bread. And so, okay. And he said, I'm excited for that. And then because he's quite pushy, okay, he hasn't had the experience of somebody, you know, teaching him manners. You know, he went from racehorse to the paddock. So he hasn't had that in between manners and respect and boundaries and all. So he's quite pushy when it comes to food. And he was pushing my other two horses around. And I just pointed my finger at him. I said, Maverick, stop. Stop. And he turned around and walked away. And as he walked away, he said this, which again broke my heart. He said, I'm hungry. Now, we look at the paddock and it's full of grass. It's like knee-length, knee-high grass. It's full. You shouldn't worry that he's hungry. He's not hungry. There's grass everywhere. There's so much for him to eat. How can you possibly be hungry? I said, what do you mean you're hungry? And he said, I want good food. Okay. Good food, as in, you know, nice green hay and tasty, like stud mix or something, you know, good food. And we as horse owners always think roughage is the best. It's the best for their health. We think that putting them out on the natural green grass and just leaving them to be a natural horse is perfect for them. But what we don't understand is I've got 3 different, very, very different horses, very different. One just wants to be in the paddock running around with other horses left alone. That's all she wants. One wants to be stabled at night. The other one wants to be fed proper hard feed and looked after and cared for. So you have 3 horses, all in the same situation, but all have very, very different needs and wants. And I think we forget that each animal is completely individual. We look after them, make sure they're healthy, make sure, you know, there's nothing physically wrong for them. But we don't ask them what they want. As a competitor, we just find a horse that has the talent and ability that we want to compete for our purpose, whether that horse wants to or not, no matter how much ability or how much of a world beater they are. We just grab them and take them to competitions and train them. And because they do well, we think they enjoy it. We never stop to take into consideration what they actually want. My little mare, she unbelievably incredible jumping ability. Not the greatest of movement for dressage, but unbelievable jumping ability. And she's only 14 two hands. But she doesn't want to compete. She doesn't even want to be ridden. She just wants to run around the paddock all day with her friends. Now, I could, if I was not tuned into her, I would just put a saddle and bridle on her and go and compete her. And because she does well, I think she enjoys it. No, she does well because she is very talented. But she doesn't like it. So moving into 5D New Earth, we have to take into consideration what the animals actually want. What they want. Not what we want for them, but what they want. And it's not even any more about what they need. It's literally about what they want. Because they too have a choice. And it's us humans that have been disconnected from listening to animals, which has put them into a life that, yes, they are taken care of, but they're not really living, because every day they're doing things that they don't want to do. Even though they're good at it, makes no difference. It's like you go to work every day. Yes, you make money to live, but just because you're good at it, it doesn't mean you enjoy it. So every day is just that same old not happy stuff because you're not enjoying it, because you don't like it. So we really need to take into consideration what our animals actually want. Now, I was listening to someone months ago who communicates with horses in the Netherlands. Simone, I think her name is. And she was communicating with a horse that used to do bullfighting. And this particular horse was having nightmares. And you would never think horses have nightmares. What could a horse possibly have nightmares for? Because this horse was in the ring with bulls, and the bulls are trying to kill it as the humans are trying to kill the bull, this horse was having nightmares of being run over and trampled and killed by a bull. And he has stopped bullfighting for quite a number of years now, and still every now and then has these nightmares. I would have nightmares too. So even though this horse is extremely well looked after, one of the best well looked after horses on the planet, he's still having nightmares. So how can we move forward looking after our animals more on an emotional and mental level, and not just a physical level? How can we do that? We do that by tuning in and communicating with them. We do that by raising our own frequency and being open to that communication. One thing I learned as well through my journey of communicating with animals is fishing. Fishing. Many people love to go fishing. A beautiful day on the lake or the river and catch a fish and either keep it to eat or to release it back into the water. I learned only a few days ago that most fish, after being released back into the water, die a few days later. From the trauma and the pain from the hook in their mouth. They can't eat because it's so painful. Some can't move their jaw because of, or their mouth because of swelling. Because of the hook. Some die from the trauma of actually being caught and then released. So most fish, or a large majority of fish that's caught and released, actually die within a few days from that trauma and the pain, not to mention the infection into the wound from the hook. So if we're truly to move forward into 5D New Earth, then how can you enjoy something as fishing when you are causing such trauma and pain to another being? It's really important to know how that animal feels by your actions, simply from you enjoying it. You sitting there having a beer while throwing a line, catching a fish, that fish's life has just ended. And many fish, I also learned, don't want to eat. They can, but don't want to eat after being released, because the last bite they took caused excruciating pain in their mouth. So they're scared to eat again. So they die of starvation, or they become someone else's food because they're too weak, because they can't eat, because of fear. So it's really important that you understand the consequences of your actions and how we actually can take care of animals more consciously. So as you become more conscious within yourself, you also become more conscious of those around you, and that includes our animals. So how do we tune in? How do we do it? One, you need to raise your vibrational frequency and come from love and compassion. You have to come from your heart. If you don't come from your heart, you will not be able to communicate with animals. It has to be genuine, because animals do not lie. They are authentic and they are genuine and they are love. If you are anything but that, then you will not get into the frequency that is required or needed to communicate with animals. You just won't. Okay? So you need to be genuine and authentic. You need to be love. Okay? You need to be love, and you need to be aware. Alrighty? So meditation is perfect. Come from your heart in everything that you do. Listen. Okay? Be open and listen. Alright? Really important to be open and to listen. Okay? Even if it's a painful truth. Like Maverick having feelings of not being worthy. Okay? Don't be afraid for the animals to tell you how they feel, even if it hurts you because you think you're doing the right thing. The whole idea of communicating with animals is to be able to take care of them with all their needs, not just their physical needs, but their mental and emotional and spiritual needs as well. So you have to come from your heart, and you have to be ready to hear the painful truth. Because if we're not ready to hear the painful truth about how our animals truly are feeling and how they truly feel about us as their carers, as their partners, then we can't take better care of them. And it's so important for every single animal on this planet to feel alive, worthy, wanted, needed, safe, comfortable. Just like you want to feel safe, comfortable, worthy, needed, and loved. The animals deserve that too. So it's so important that you put your ego aside and you open your heart and your mind and you start listening to everyone and everything around you. Everyone. When I say everyone, I am referring to people and animals, both. Now, as you start doing this, you will start hearing Mother Gaia, or Earth, start talking to you about what she needs. Because the Earth is a conscious being as well. You'll start learning about the needs that Mother Earth has, and how she works, and how she feels. And then you'll understand why some completely natural events happen. You'll understand. So you won't see it as just an earthquake, or just a hurricane, or just a storm, or just a fire. You'll start to understand why those things are happening. And it all starts within your heart. That's where everything begins. That's where consciousness begins. That's where life begins. That's where creation begins, is in your heart. So please, start thinking of your animals' emotional and mental and spiritual needs, not just their physical. Start opening and listening to them, even if it's painful, even if it's something you don't want to hear. Because we can't take better care of them and help them to live a full, healthy life if we're too scared to listen. I hope this has really helped some of you today. And I really, really, really hope and pray that this is my last video for quite some time. Yeah, just be more conscious and more aware of what you're actually, what animal you're working with and their individual needs. Okay, thank you so much, everyone, and I wish you all the best. Bye.